The rain hammered down like God's own judgment, turning the cracked asphalt of that Brooklyn alley into a river of regret. Jonathan's fist connected with the brick wall, blood mixing with the downpour, as Nathan's voice shattered the storm. If you walk away now, it's over forever. But forever was a lie they'd both told themselves too many times. And in that electric pause, Jonathan turned, eyes blazing with a love so fierce it could burn cities, whispering, "Then light the match." Jonathan had always been the dreamer, the one who sketched feverish charcoal portraits in the dim light of his tiny Williamsburg loft, chasing shadows that looked suspiciously like freedom. At 28, he was a freelance illustrator scraping by on gigs for indie zines and coffee shop murals, his world a kaleidoscope of graffiti-splashed stoops and the endless hum of the L train rattling past his window. New York chewed up romantics like him and spat out cynics, but Jonathan clung to the poetry of it all, the way the city lights danced on the East River at dusk, promising that somewhere in the chaos, souls could collide and stick. Nathan crashed into his life like a subway derailment, unannounced and utterly devastating. It was a muggy July evening in 2023, the kind where the air hung heavy with the scent of hot pretzels and exhaust, and Jonathan had ducked into a dive bar off Bedford Avenue to escape a client call gone south. The place was a relic, peeling vinyl stools, a jukebox crooning Springsteen, and a bartender who poured shots like confessions. Jonathan nursed a whiskey sour, sketching the grizzled regulars on a napkin, when Nathan slid onto the stool beside him, 6'2" of solid Midwestern muscle wrapped in a flannel shirt that strained at the shoulders, his hazel eyes scanning the room like he was casing a joint. Artist. Nathan's voice was gravel and honey, a faint drawl betraying roots in some Rust Belt town Jonathan couldn't place. He nodded at the napkin, where Jonathan's pencil had captured the bartender's world-weary squint with eerie precision. Jonathan glanced up, caught off guard by the easy grin that crinkled the corners of Nathan's eyes. Guilty. You a critic or just nosy? Nosy wins. Nathan extended a calloused hand, the kind earned from years of manual labor. Turns out he was a carpenter, fresh off a job rehabbing brownstones in Bushwick. Nathan Hayes. From Toledo, but don't hold that against me. This city's got me hooked already. Jonathan Reyes. Born and raised here, so I'm biased toward the grit. Their handshake lingered a beat too long, fingers brushing in a spark that neither acknowledged but both felt, like static before a storm. What started as bar banter, Nathan ribbing Jonathan about his fancy sketches, Jonathan teasing Nathan's love for classic rock, unspooled into the night. They talked about everything and nothing. Nathan's escape from a family dynasty of auto plant workers who expected him to marry his high school sweetheart and pump out grandkids. Jonathan's fractured upbringing with a single mom who waitressed double shifts in Queens, teaching him that love was a verb, not a fairy tale. By last call, they were the only ones left, shoulders brushing as they split a greasy diner breakfast at 3 a.m., laughing over eggs that tasted like possibility. That first kiss happened on the fire escape of Jonathan's building, the city sprawling below like a glittering beast. Nathan had walked him home, their steps sinking without effort, and as they paused under the sodium glow of a street lamp, Nathan cupped Jonathan's face with hands that trembled just enough to betray the vulnerability beneath his bravado. "I shouldn't," Nathan murmured, but his eyes said otherwise, dark with hunger. Jonathan closed the gap, lips meeting in a slow burn that tasted of whiskey and want, the world narrowing to the press of bodies and the distant wail of sirens. It was messy, urgent, the kind of kiss that rewired synapses and redrew maps. From there, it was a whirlwind. Weekends blurred into stolen hours. Nathan's truck idling outside Jonathan's loft at dawn for rooftop picnics with bodega bagels and black coffee. Jonathan surprising Nathan on job sites with thermoses of mate tea, sketching him mid-swing with a hammer, sweat gleaming on his forearms like liquid gold. They mapped each other in the quiet moments. Nathan tracing the constellation of freckles across Jonathan's collarbone, whispering stories of stargazing back home. Jonathan memorizing the scar on Nathan's knuckles from a bar fight he regretted, vowing silently to be the one who never made him clench a fist again. But love in New York was never just poetry. It was rent checks and rootless ambition, the grind that tested every bond. Nathan's crew was a rough bunch. Good old boys from the heartland transplanted to the boroughs, trading beers and ball scores after shifts. They razzied him about his artsy boyfriend, but it was laced with that undercurrent of unease, the kind that festered in sideways glances. Jonathan felt it too, in the way Nathan's phone buzzed with calls from Ohio, his face tightening like a storm front. Family stuff, he'd say, brushing it off with a kiss. But Jonathan knew better, the weight of expectations Nathan carried like an invisible yoke. Fall crept in with amber leaves skittering across Prospect Park, and their rhythm deepened. They hosted game nights in Jonathan's loft, Nathan's booming laugh echoing off exposed brick as they demolished bottles of cheap Merlot. One night, tangled in sheets that smelled of sawdust and ink, Nathan propped on an elbow, his fingers idly combing Jonathan's hair. "You ever think about forever?" he asked, voice soft as the rain pattering the window. Jonathan's heart stuttered. "With you, every damn day." He rolled to face him, their breaths mingling. "But forever's a big word for guys like us." Nathan's smile was bittersweet. "Guys like us conquer big words. Hell, we could take on the world." They almost believed it. Thanksgiving loomed like a specter, Nathan dreading the obligatory trip home to Toledo, where his parents' sprawling ranch house echoed with the ghosts of traditions he couldn't fit into. Dad's all bluster, Vietnam vet, Union man, but Mom, she sees right through me. He paused, thumb stroking Jonathan's jaw. "I told them about you last week." On the phone, Jonathan sat up, pulse thundering. "And?" Nathan's gaze dropped. Silence. Then Dad said, "We don't talk about that here." Mom cried. "Invited me home anyway, like if she cooks enough turkey, it'll fix me." The ache in Jonathan's chest was visceral, a mirror to his own hidden scars. His mom had embraced him at 16 with a fierce hug and a mi amor, be safe. But the world outside hadn't been so kind. "You going?" "Have to. But I'll be back before you can miss me." Nathan pulled him close, their bodies aligning like puzzle pieces. "And when I am, we're making our own traditions. No forbiddings, no odds we can't defy." Jonathan clung to that promise as Nathan's truck faded into the November fog, taillights blurring like tears. The loft felt cavernous without him, the sketches on the walls mocking him with half-finished portraits of a life in progress. Days stretched into a gray haze of deadlines and diner coffee. Jonathan's text to Nathan a lifeline. "Miss your laugh echoing off these walls. Hurry back." Replies came sporadic, laced with strain, families intense. "Love you. Soon." Then, the call came on Black Friday, Nathan's voice cracking through the line like ice underfoot. "John, it's bad. Dad found out, really found out. Went through my phone while I was in the shower. The photos, the messages. He lost it. Called me every name in the book. Said I'm a disgrace to the family name." Jonathan's world tilted, the phone slipping in his grip. "What did you say?" "Nothing. Just stood there while he yelled. Mom begged me to pray on it. like it's a phase. I left early, drove straight through. I'm pulling up now. Relief flooded Jonathan, but it was chased by dread. He met Nathan at the door, pulling him into an embrace that bordered on desperate. Nathan's flannel damp from the drive, body rigid with unspoken fury. They collapsed onto the couch, Nathan's head in Jonathan's lap, and the story poured out. Accusations of corruption, threats to cut him off financially despite Nathan's independence, whispers of reparative therapy from a distant uncle. They think they can fix me, Nathan choked, fists balled. Like I'm broken. You're not, Jonathan murmured, fingers threading through Nathan's hair, voice steady as an anchor. And neither are we. That night, they made love like it was absolution. Slow, reverent, bodies mapping forgiveness in the dark. Nathan's touches were apologies, Jonathan's whispers affirmations, until exhaustion claimed them in a tangle of limbs and lingering heat. But the Hayes family wasn't done. A week later, a manila envelope arrived at the loft, postmarked Toledo, no return address. Jonathan slid it open, heart sinking at the contents. Printed screenshots of their texts, intimate photos blurred but unmistakable, and a letter in crisp cursive, Nathan's mother's hand. Dearest Nathan, we've prayed for guidance, and the Lord has shown us the path. This deviation is not you. It's the city's poison, that den of sin. Come home, son. Let us help you reclaim your true self. For the family. For God. Leave this behind, or you'll break your father's heart and your own soul. With love, Mom. Tucked inside was a plane ticket, one way to Detroit, dated for the following Monday. Nathan read it in silence, face paling to ash. They think I'm possessed or some shit. He crumpled the paper, hurling it across the room. But the damage was done, a fracture in the foundation they'd built. Jonathan pulled him close, but Nathan recoiled, eyes wild. What if they're right? What if this us is just a rebellion that'll leave me hollow? The words landed like a slap, Jonathan's breath catching. Don't let them in your head. But the seed was planted. Nathan withdrew, nights spent staring at the ceiling, days lost in solitary runs along the waterfront. Jonathan fought for normalcy, cooking Nathan's favorite chili, dragging him to indie films in the village. But the joy had leached out, replaced by a creeping doubt that gnawed at them both. Christmas Eve brought the breaking point. They'd planned a quiet holiday, a tree strung with dollar store lights, takeout from the halal cart, and promises of a future unyoked. But Nathan's phone rang mid-toast, his father's voice booming through speaker. Boy, you comin' home or not? This ain't no life for a Hayes. Nathan's hand shook, glass clinking against the table. Dad, I told you. Enough. Your mother's sick with worry. Pack your bags. We'll sort this. Confusion. The line went dead, and Nathan shattered. He paced the loft like a caged animal, ranting about legacy, duty, the invisible chains of blood. Jonathan watched, helpless, as the man he loved unraveled thread by thread. Then came the betrayal, swift and surgical. In the witching hour, as snow dusted the windows like powdered regret, Nathan packed a duffel, tools of his trade, a few changes of clothes, and stood in the doorway, eyes hollow. I'm going, John. Just for a bit. To smooth things over. Prove I'm still their son. Jonathan's world imploded. Prove? By what? Erasing me. Us? It's not like that. Nathan's voice cracked, but his jaw set like flint. I need to fix this. For them. For me. For them, Jonathan echoed, bitterness rising like bile. And what about us? Was that just a phase 2? Nathan flinched, reaching out, but Jonathan stepped back, the chasm widening. I love you, Nathan whispered, but family. Family doesn't betray. The words hung, venomous, as Jonathan turned away, tears hot on his cheeks. The door clicked shut, a sound like finality, and Jonathan sank to the floor, the loft echoing with the ghost of laughter long silenced. The weeks that followed were a descent into winter's maw, New York transforming from festive glow to a frozen mausoleum. Jonathan wandered the streets like a specter, the city's pulse mocking his stasis, holiday lights twinkling on brownstones where families gathered, carols spilling from radios like salt in wounds. His sketches turned dark, feverish strokes of fractured figures reaching across voids, clients emailing polite rejections. Too intense, John. Dial it back. He didn't care. Art was his confessor now, spilling secrets onto canvas that no one else would understand. Nathan's absence was a phantom limb, throbbing with every heartbeat. Texts went unanswered after the first curt "I'm here. Give me time." Jonathan replayed their last moments obsessively. The tremor in Nathan's voice, the flicker of regret in his eyes. Betrayal wasn't just the leaving. It was the silence that followed, a void where promises had bloomed. He confided in his mom over crackling FaceTime from her Queens apartment, her lined face softening with empathy. "Mijo, love like yours doesn't fade, it ferments. Let it hurt, then let it teach." But hurt was a jealous lover, demanding all. Jonathan threw himself into distractions. Late nights at queer open mics in the East Village, where poets spat fire about reclaimed hearts. Volunteer shifts at a Brooklyn shelter, handing out hot meals to runaways who reminded him too much of his younger self. There, amid the steam of soup pots and stories of survival, he found slivers of light. Laughter with a trans kid named Riley who doodled unicorns on napkins, the quiet solidarity of strangers who saw your scars and nodded, "I get it." Yet Nathan haunted the edges, a flannel-clad silhouette in a crowd, the rumble of a truck engine pulling up to a curb. One February night, desperation clawed him awake at 4 a.m., and he dialed the number he'd memorized like scripture. Voicemail. Nathan's voice, warm as aged bourbon. "Hey, it's Nate. Leave a message." Jonathan hung up, chest heaving, before the words could escape. Spring thawed the city but not his heart. By March, Jonathan's portfolio landed him a gig illustrating a graphic novel about immigrant dreams. Ironic, given his own deferred hopes. The work pulled him eastward to a studio in Dumbo, where the Manhattan Bridge framed his days in steel and fog. He started running again, pounding pavement along the waterfront, breath sinking with the tide's indifferent rhythm. It was catharsis, each stride a rejection of stagnation, a reclaiming of self beyond the we. Meanwhile, in Toledo's flatlands, Nathan drowned in the familiar. The Hayes home was a fortress of faded glory. American flags snapping from the porch, a garage stacked with his father's tools, the kitchen redolent of pot roast and piety. His parents' welcome was a velvet trap, hugs that lingered too long, prayers at dinner invoking healing without naming the wound. Nathan crashed on the pullout in the basement, surrounded by high school trophies gathering dust, each a reminder of the straight arrow son they'd molded. Work was his refuge. Odd jobs at the local mill, hands blistered from lumber that felt foreign after Brooklyn's eclectic builds. But the nights were torment. staring at water-stained ceilings, replaying Jonathan's broken family doesn't betray. He'd drive to the edge of town, where cornfields met highway, radio blasting Dylan until his throat ached with unsung apologies. His mom cornered him one Sunday after church, her eyes red-rimmed under the brim of her bonnet. "Nathan, honey, we found a group. Good Christian men, wrestling the same demons. It saved your cousin after his troubles." He recoiled, the word demons a brand. "Ma, there are no demons. Just me. And I left the man I love to make you happy." Her face crumpled, hand fluttering to her cross necklace. "The Bible says, screw the Bible if it means losing myself," the outburst echoed, drawing his father's shadow from the hall, broad as a barn door, mustache twitching with disapproval. "Watch your tone, boy. This house, these values, they're your birthright." Nathan's laugh was hollow. "Birthright to misery? I traded my heart for this." The argument escalated, words flying like shrapnel, accusations of selfishness, pleas for reconciliation, ultimatums veiled as concern. Nathan stormed out, tires screeching on gravel, ending up at a roadside bar where old flames nursed beers and grudges. He drank until the edges blurred, waking in his truck at dawn with a pounding skull and a resolve cracking like eggshell. Back in New York, Jonathan's life stitched itself anew, thread by fragile thread. He met Alex at a gallery opening in Chelsea, a lithe photographer with a wicked smile and stories of globetrotting that made Jonathan's world feel small. Their flirtation was light, uncomplicated, coffee dates that stretched into afternoons, shared packs of Marlboros on fire escapes, laughter that didn't demand vows. Alex saw the shadows in Jonathan's eyes but didn't pry, offering instead the balm of now, a hand on his knee during indie screenings, a body warm against his in the quiet hours. It wasn't love, not the bone-deep kind that Nathan had unearthed, but it was healing. Jonathan sketched Alex's profile in the harsh light of his new studio, lines softer than before, experimenting with color for the first time in months, ochres and indigos bleeding into hope. "You're glowing," his mom noted during a visit, squeezing his hand over plates of arroz con pollo. "Proud of you, mi artista." Pain's a brutal teacher, but look at the masterpiece. Yet doubt lingered, a whisper in the wind off the harbor. Late one April evening, as cherry blossoms rained petals on the promenade, Jonathan's phone buzzed with an unknown number. He almost silenced it, but curiosity won. The voice on the other end was a ghost. "John? It's me, Nathan." Breath caught, time folded. "What do you want?" "To talk. I'm in the city. Drove all night." Jonathan's pulse roared, a traitor to his resolve. "Why now?" "Because I was an idiot. A coward." "Can we meet? Please." The pleas undid him. They agreed on the pier at Brooklyn Bridge Park, neutral ground where the skyline pierced the dusk like accusations. Jonathan arrived early, hands jammed in his jeans, the East River churning below like his gut. When Nathan appeared thinner, shadows under his eyes, flannel rumpled, he looked like a man who'd crossed deserts. They stood apart at first, the space between them a chasm of months. Nathan spoke first, voice raw. "I went back thinking I could fix it, play the part. But every day without you was a lie I couldn't live." They tried counseling, sermons, even a blind date with some girl from church. "I walked out mid-dinner, told Dad I'm gay. Period. Done pretending." Jonathan's throat tightened. "And fist fight. First one in years." He disowned me on the spot, said I was no son of his. Ma sobbed, but she didn't stop him. Nathan's laugh was bitter, scarred. Freed me, in a way. Packed my truck that night. Headed straight here. Relief warred with wariness in Jonathan's chest. You hurt me, Nate. Bad. I know. Nathan stepped closer, eyes pleading. Deserve every bit. But I see now family isn't blood. It's choice. You. If you'll have me. The vulnerability cracked Jonathan's armor. He closed the gap, hands fisting Nathan's shirt, pulling him into a kiss that tasted of salt and second chances. Fierce, forgiving, the city lights igniting around them like applause. They broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, the world righting itself. But reconciliation wasn't a straight path. It was a Brooklyn street, potholed and circuitous. Nathan crashed on Jonathan's couch at first. The loft tense with unspoken fears. Would he bolt again? Could trust rebuild on rubble? They navigated it with brutal honesty. Therapy sessions in a cramped midtown office, where a no-nonsense counselor named Dr. Patel unpacked the Hayes legacy like a bomb squad defusing wires. Betrayal isn't the end, she'd say, her bindi a steady flame. It's the forge. Nights were tentative explorations. Shared meals where Nathan's chili met Jonathan's experimental paella, laughter bubbling up like forgotten springs. Intimacy returned in waves, a brush of fingers over dishwater suds, a slow dance to Coltrane in the living room, bodies remembering rhythms long interrupted. One humid June dawn, as sunlight slanted through blinds, Nathan traced Jonathan's spine with reverent fingers. I wrote you letters, he confessed, voice muffled against skin. Burned most. Kept one. Read it. Jonathan nodded, heart full. The letter, creased and ink-smudged, was a litany of remorse and reclamation. You were my North Star in that hell. Without you, I'm adrift. Come back to me, not as savior, but as equal. Let's build something unbreakable. Tears blurred the words, but Jonathan's smile shone through. We're unbreakable now. Summer swelled with possibility. Nathan landed a crew gig restoring a historic loft in Soho, his hands rediscovering joy in the grain of wood. Jonathan's graphic novel hit shelves in indie shops, reviews praising its raw humanism. They celebrated with a road trip upstate, Hudson Valley hikes where wildflowers nodded approval. Nights in a creaky B&B with fireflies winking conspiratorially. There, under a canopy of stars unmarred by city glare, Nathan dropped to one knee on a quilt-spread meadow, a simple silver band glinting in his palm, recycled from his grandfather's watch, engraved with Defy. Marry me, John. Not despite the odds, because we beat them. Jonathan's yes was a vow, sealed with a kiss that echoed their first, but deeper, tempered by fire. Back in the city, challenges lingered like summer haze. Nathan's family sent a single letter. His mother's, tentative olive branch, we miss you. Praying for clarity. He replied with a photo, their hands intertwined at a pride rally, rainbows arcing overhead. This is clarity. Love you still. No response came, but the silence felt less like rejection, more like space. Jonathan's world expanded too, introducing Nathan to his mom's boisterous family barbecue in Queens, where Tios clapped Nathan on the back with Bienvenido, hijo, and cousins grilled him on everything from baseball to building trades. Alex faded gracefully into friendship, toasting them at a rooftop party with, knew you two were endgame. As Labor Day approached, They stood on that same Brooklyn rooftop where storms had once raged, now under a harvest moon. The city thrummed below, alive with defiance. Nathan pulled Jonathan close, chin resting on his shoulder. "We made it." Jonathan turned, eyes alight. Stronger. Always. And in that moment, with the wind whispering secrets of endurance, they knew love wasn't the absence of odds, but the audacity to defy them, hand in unyielding hand. Autumn's palette painted the city in golds and crimsons, but for Jonathan and Nathan, the season carried undercurrents of reckoning. Their engagement announcement rippled through social circles like a stone in the Hudson. Cheers from queer friends at dive bars, raised eyebrows from Nathan's old crew, who muttered about that phase lasting too long. But the real tremor came from Toledo, a seismic fault line cracking open old wounds. It started with a call from Nathan's sister, Emily the golden child, 25 and newly engaged to an accountant with a receding hairline and a firm handshake. Her voice was syrup over shards. "Nate, Mom's not well. The stress. Doctors say it's her heart. She wants to see you. Both of you." Nathan's grip whitened on the phone. Jonathan watching from the kitchen table, coffee steaming untouched. It's been months. Dad made it clear. Dad's mellowed. Swear. Come for Thanksgiving. One weekend. For her. The plea hooked deep. Familial guilt, a barb Nathan couldn't shake. Jonathan saw it in the slump of his shoulders that night. As they lay in bed, the loft's shadows lengthening like accusations. "You want to go?" Jonathan said softly. Not a question. Nathan's sigh was a gale. "Not without you. But if we show up united, it could break her more. Or heal." Jonathan propped on an elbow, tracing Nathan's furrowed brow. "We're not hiding anymore. If they can't handle us, that's their burden." The drive to Ohio was a marathon of tension. I-80 unspooling like a gray ribbon, playlists alternating Springsteen anthems with Jonathan's indie folk to soothe frayed nerves. Nathan's knuckles drummed the wheel, stories spilling, childhood Thanksgivings with turkey hunts in the woods, Emily's pigtails and his own scraped knees. "They weren't always like this," he said, voice thick. "Dad taught me to build birdhouses. Mom sang me to sleep with hymns that felt like lullabies." Jonathan squeezed his thigh. "Anchor in the storm. Then show them who you became." "The man I love." The Hayes Ranch loomed at dusk, a colonial sentinel amid corn stubble, porch light haloing the gravel drive. Emily rushed out first, auburn curls bouncing, enveloping Nathan in a hug that drew a reluctant chuckle from him. "God, you look citified," she teased, then turned to Jonathan with a tentative smile. "Heard a lot. Glad you're real." Inside, the air was thick with sage and simmering stock. The dining room a shrine to Americana, eagle embroidery, framed photos of Nathan in Little League glory. Mrs. Hayes emerged from the kitchen, apron dusted with flour, her once vibrant blue eyes dulled by illness. She froze at the sight of them hand in hand, then stepped forward, embracing Nathan with a fragility that belied her frame. "My boy," she whispered, then, hesitantly, extended a hand to Jonathan. "Welcome, Mr." Hayes loomed in the doorway, arms crossed like barriers, mustache a salt and pepper scowl. His nod was curt. "Heard you're the illustrator." "Guilty," Jonathan replied, meeting the steel gaze. "Nathan's my muse." Dinner was a minefield. Conversations skirted edges. Emily's wedding plans, The mill's latest layoffs until the wine loosened tongues. Mr. Hayes cleared his throat, fork pausing mid-air. So, this arrangement. Permanent. Nathan's jaw tightened, but Jonathan felt his hand squeeze under the table, a silent together. It's marriage, Dad. To the man I love, the room iced over. Mrs. Hayes's fork clattered, eyes welling. Nathan, the church. Church says love thy neighbor. Not condemn your son. Nathan's voice was steady, forged in therapy's fire. We didn't come to fight. Came to share our life. Emily jumped in, voice bright as deflection. Show them the ring. It's gorgeous. The silver band caught the chandelier's gleam, drawing murmurs. Mrs. Hayes reached out, fingers trembling as she inspected it. From Grandpa's watch, Nathan explained. Thought it'd mean something. Her lip quivered. It does. He was progressive, in his way, a pause, heavy as lead. I've been reading. Online groups, stories from other mothers. Hurts, but I see it now, your happiness matters. Mr. Hayes barked a laugh, bitter. Happiness? Bible's clear, man with man. Abomination. Tom. Mrs. Hayes snapped, uncharacteristic fire. Enough. He's our blood. The patriarch's face reddened, chair scraping as he rose. Blood don't mean bend in to sin. I won't toast this. Perversion in my home. Nathan stood too, towering but unbroken. Then we leave. Love you, Dad, but I won't let you poison this. Jonathan rose beside him, heart pounding but voice calm. Mr. Hayes, I get it, tradition's a tough shell. But Nathan's not your enemy. He's your legacy, living true. The words hung, a gauntlet thrown. Mr. Hayes's eyes flickered, rage, grief, a glimmer of something softer. He stormed out to the porch, door slamming like thunder. The weekend fractured from there. Stolen moments with Emily in the barn, swapping sibling secrets, quiet talks with Mrs. Hayes over pie, her confessions of doubt and dawning acceptance. I failed you, she admitted, tears salting the crust. Feared losing my boy to a world that chews up different. You're not losing me, Nathan assured, hugging her frail form. Just gaining a son-in-law. Thanksgiving dawn broke crisp, frost etching the windows. They packed under Emily's watchful eye, her whisper to Jonathan, thank you for bringing him back, even if it's messy. The drive home was quieter, burdens lighter. Nathan's hand found Jonathan's over the console. Proud of us. Me too. But as billboards blurred past, Jonathan's mind snagged on Mr. Hayes's parting grunt at the door. Think on it, son. Crack. Not a chasm, potential. Perilous. Back in Brooklyn, normalcy beckoned, but fate had other plans. December brought a commission for Jonathan, a mural for a Harlem community center, celebrating queer resilience through the ages, Stonewall to now. Nathan joined the vision, carving wooden accents that interlocked like lovers' fingers. It was their opus, paint and pine birthing stories on cinderblock. But mid-brushstroke, Nathan's phone shattered the rhythm. Emily, sobbing. It's Dad. Heart attack. Collapsed at the plant. He's asking for you. The world grayed. Nathan's face drained, keys in hand before Jonathan could speak. Go, Jonathan urged, kissing his temple. I'll hold the fort. Nathan's flight landed in blizzard-lashed Detroit, rental car skidding to the hospital where fluorescent hell awaited. Emily met him in the lobby, mascara streaked. He's stable, but weak. Mom's a wreck. The ICU room was a sterile cage. Beeps punctuating the patriarch's labored breaths. Mrs. Hayes clutching rosaries by the bed. Mr. Hayes's eyes, milky with morphine, fixed on Nathan. Knew you'd come. Always. Nathan took the gnarled hand, calluses mirroring his own. A rasp escaped. Foolish. Pride. Saw it in your eyes, happy. Forgives a lot. Tears pricked. Missed you, Dad. Missed. My boy. A pause. Please. Bring him next time. The artist. Nathan's nod was vow. Promise. Back in New York. Jonathan paced the loft. Murals half-sketched. Worry etching lines. When Nathan returned 3 days later, exhausted, eyes red-rimmed but alight, Jonathan enveloped him wordlessly. He's fighting, Nathan murmured into his neck. Said to tell you. Welcome to the family. The words unlocked floods, their embrace a dam breaking. That night, they made love with a tenderness born of trials. Slow caresses mapping scars, whispers weaving futures. Defied the odds again, Jonathan breathed, as dawn crept in. Holiday lights twinkled anew, their loft a beacon. Emily's wedding invite arrived, inclusive script, and Jonathan, as family. Mrs. Hayes called weekly, voice strengthening, sharing recipes and repentances. Mr. Hayes's recovery was grueling, but cards came, scrawled notes in shaky hand. Proud. Build good. New Year's Eve found them on the rooftop, champagne flutes raised to a fireworks-laced sky. Nathan pulled a velvet box from his jacket. Not rings, but keys, etched with their initials. To the brownstone in Bed-Stuy. Our forever home. Jonathan's laugh was joy incarnate. Yes, 1,000 times. As the city roared below, they kissed into the new year, stronger, unbowed. Love's defiant anthem echoing through the odds they'd conquered, hand in hand, heart to heart. Winter's grip loosened into spring's tentative bloom. But for Jonathan and Nathan, the season heralded not renewal, but a tempest of unforeseen fury. Their brownstone purchase was a triumph, a Victorian relic in Bed-Stuy, with gingerbread trim and a backyard wild with untamed rose bushes. Weekends dissolved into sweat-soaked labor, Nathan wielding sledgehammers to gut outdated kitchens, Jonathan envisioning color washes that evoked sunsets over the Gowanus. It was creation incarnate, each nail a stake in permanence, each brushstroke a brush-off to doubt. Yet shadows slithered in uninvited. Nathan's crew, loyal but laced with old-world grit, started sidelining him on jobs, whispers of distracted by that lifestyle filtering through lunch pails. They're jealous? Nathan shrugged off, but Jonathan saw the bruise to his pride. The way his hammer swings grew fiercer, channeling frustration into Formica. More insidious was the letter from Toledo, slipped under the door like a serpent's tongue. Mr. Hayes, penitent in recovery, had penned it, updates on rehab, a photo of the ranch dusted in snow, and a postscript that curdled blood. Emily's engaged, as you know. But whispers in town, folks questioning the Hayes name after your choices. Watch your back, son. World ain't kind to outliers. Nathan burned it in the sink, flame licking paper to ash, but embers lingered. Dad means well, he insisted, though his voice wavered. Jonathan pulled him close, but the seed of paranoia took root, Nathan's sleep fracturing with nightmares of exclusion. Then came the betrayal's cruel encore, not from family, but fracture within. Alex, Jonathan's erstwhile almost something, resurfaced at a gallery vernissage in Tribeca. Slinky in silk, champagne flute in hand, he cornered Jonathan amid abstract oils. Missed this, Alex purred, fingers grazing Jonathan's arm. You look settled. Bored yet? Jonathan laughed it off, but Alex pressed, voice dropping. Heard Nathan's crew's icing him out. Tough for a guy like him. Blue-collar heart. Rainbow flag. You sure he's not cracking? The words wormed in, amplifying insecurities. That night, Jonathan confronted Nathan over half-packed boxes, tone sharper than intended. Alex said your jobs are drying up. Is it us? The visibility? Nathan's face hardened, trowel pausing mid-spackle. Alex? That prick still sniffing around? And yeah, jobs suck, but it's homophobia, not us. Why poison it with doubt? Because I see you fraying. Jonathan shot back, voice echoing off bare walls. Snapping at shadows, checking your phone like doom's incoming. The argument escalated, words as weapons. Nathan accusing Jonathan of fragility, Jonathan hurling coward like the ghost of Ohio. It culminated in Nathan storming out, truck roaring into the night, Jonathan collapsing amid paint cans, sobs racking his frame. Not again, he thought, terror clawing. Not when we're so close. Dawn brought regret's hangover. Nathan returned at first light, coffee and croissants in hand, eyes ringed with exhaustion. I stayed at a motel. Needed air. He knelt, taking Jonathan's hands. You're right, I am fraying. Lost a bid yesterday because the foreman heard things. Feels like the world's closing in. Jonathan's anger dissolved into empathy. Then we face it. Together. No more ghosts, they called Dr. Patel that afternoon. Sessions doubling down on resilience tools. Boundary-setting scripts for bigoted clients. Affirmations scrawled on mirrors like talismans. Nathan pivoted, pitching his skills to queer-owned renovations. Crafting custom cabinetry for a lesbian couple's loft. Installing rainbow inlays in a trans-owned bakery. The work reignited his fire. Paycheck steadier. Pride swelling. Jonathan's mural at the community center unveiled to fanfare. A riot of color depicting intertwined hands across eras. Nathan's carvings framing panels like protective wards. The dedication plaque read, "For loves that endure." Mayor's office sent a rep. Press snapped photos of the couple arm in arm. Headlines humming Bedstewie's defiant duo. But Triumph's high crashed on a muggy June eve. Emily called. Voice a wire. Nate is bad. Dad relapsed stress from the mill closure. He's talking crazy. Blaming you. Said if you'd straightened up, we'd all be fine. Mom's spiraling. Nathan's world tilted. Phone slipping. What? He's in the den. Ranting. Even called the pastor. I can't. Come, Emily urged. Talk him down. For Ma. Jonathan, overhearing, nodded fiercely. We're going. Flight tonight. The red-eye to Detroit was a coffin of turbulence. Hearts pounding in sync. Rental car chewed miles to the ranch. Arriving at midnight to a house lit like a vigil. Mrs. Hayes answered, haggard in housecoat, pulling them into whispers. He's drunk. On pills too. Keep saying the family's cursed because of, you know, Mr. Hayes sprawled in his recliner, bottle within reach, eyes bloodshot lasers. You, he slurred, spotting Nathan, brought your friend to gloat. Dad, Nathan started, but Jonathan stepped forward, voice even. Mr. Hayes, we're here because we care. Not to gloat, to help. The old man lurched up, finger jabbing. Help? You ruined him, my boy, twisted by your kind. Hayes' blood pure. Till you. Rage boiled in Nathan, fists clenching, but Jonathan's hand on his arm grounded him. Sir, love doesn't ruin. Hiding does. Nathan's stronger for it, for us. A bark of laughter, unhinged. Stronger? Look at the mill jobs gone. Town's whispering. All 'cause I got a fairy for a son. The slur landed like acid. Nathan surged forward, voice thunder. Enough. I'm gay. Dad, deal with it or lose me for good. Your hate's the curse. Not me. Silence crashed, broken only by Mrs. Hayes's gasp. Mr. Hayes swayed, face crumpling, not fury, but fracture. He collapsed back, sobs racking his barrel chest. Lost everything. Mill, health. Thought if I pushed, you'd come back. Save us. The vulnerability gutted them. Nathan knelt, taking the trembling hands. You haven't lost me. But you gotta let go of this poison. Accept us, all of us, or yeah, it'll break the family. Hours blurred into dawn confessions. Mr. Hayes admitting fears of legacy's end. Isolation's bite. Nathan sharing Brooklyn's battles. Love's ballast. Jonathan mediated. His artist's eye seeing patterns in pain, cycles begging breakage. By sunrise, over black coffee, Mr. Hayes extended a liver-spotted hand to Jonathan. Sorry, son. Owe you that. Forgiven, Jonathan said, clasp firm. We're in this together. The flight home was buoyant, burdens redistributed. Back in bed, Stewie, they dove into the brownstone with renewed zeal. Nathan hanging reclaimed wood shelves, Jonathan painting murals of intertwined roots. Emily's wedding loomed in August. Invite reaffirmed, family table for 4. But the climax brewed in July's swelter, a betrayal from an unexpected quarter. Nathan's new client, a burly contractor named Vic, all backslaps and beer runs, invited him to a team builder at a Queens strip club. Bring the hubby? Vic winked, but the vibe soured fast. Leers from the crew, catcalls masking curiosity. Nathan endured for the gig, but whispers turned vicious post-shots. Hayes always was soft. Cities turned him full queer. Jonathan, waiting at home, sensed the shift in Nathan's texts, curt, delayed. When he burst through the door at 2 a.m., reeking of smoke and scotch, Jonathan's greeting kiss met stubble and evasion. Rough night, Jonathan probed, pouring water. Nathan slumped at the island, head in hands. Vic cornered me. Offered a fat contract, if I toned it down. No pride posts, no hand-holding on sites. Said it'd make clients comfortable. Jonathan's blood iced. And I told him to fuck off. Nathan's eyes blazed, but beneath lurked fracture. Lost the job on the spot. But John, what if he's right? What if being us costs everything? The doubt echoed old ghosts. Jonathan's heart seizing. Costs? It is everything. Don't let them win. But Nathan's silence festered. Days of withdrawn labor. Evenings nursing IPAs on the stoop. Jonathan's pleas met walls, until one storm last night, thunder rattling windows, Nathan exploded. "You don't get it. I built my life on my hands. Now they're tied 'cause of who I love? It's not fair. Fair." Jonathan roared back, rain sheeting the panes like tears. "None of it's fair. From your dad to this city. But we chose us." "Or did we?" The words detonated. Nathan grabbed his keys, storming into the deluge. Jonathan chasing to the street, soaked in seconds. "Nate, wait!" Under street lamp glare, Nathan whirled, anguish raw. "I can't breathe. John." Every step. They're watching, judging. "Then fight!" Jonathan yelled, closing the gap, hands fisting wet flannel. "With me. Not against." Lightning cracked, illuminating Nathan's torment. Eyes stormy, lips parted. The kiss that followed was cataclysm. Desperate, devouring, rain mingling with salt. They stumbled back inside, bodies crashing against walls, clothes shedding like skins. It was reclamation, fingers digging bruises of possession, gasps vowing fidelity. In the aftermath, tangled and trembling, Nathan whispered, "I'm scared of losing you to this fight." Jonathan cupped his face, fierce. "Never. We're the storm now." Dawn broke clear, washing away detritus. They called Vic's bluff, leaking the story to a local queer mag. Contractors' ultimatum. Love or labor. Backlash hit. Boycotts on Vic's sites. Job offers flooding Nathan's inbox from allies. Mr. Hayes even texted, "Saw the article. Proud. Kick-ass." The betrayal forged them sharper, edges honed for battle. As summer waned, they stood amid the brownstones near completion. Floors sanded to gleam, walls alive with art, knowing trials weren't endings, but evolutions. Labor Day weekend crowned their odyssey, the brownstones housewarming a tapestry of triumphs. Guests spilled from stoop to garden. Jonathan's boisterous Reyes clan grilling empanadas, Nathan's crew, the progressive holdouts, toasting with craft IPAs, Emily and her groom-to-be charming all with Midwestern warmth. Dr. Patel arrived with her wife, gifting a bonsai, roots deep, branches free, even Mrs. Hayes FaceTimed from the ranch, her smile tentative but genuine. Mr. Hayes grunting hellos from beside her. As dusk painted the sky in purples, Jonathan and Nathan slipped to the rooftop, city lights winking like conspirators. Nathan pulled a flask from his pocket, top-shelf bourbon, smooth as absolution. "To us," he toasted, clinking Jonathan's glass. "Defiers of odds." "To forever," Jonathan echoed, the word no longer daunting but deserved. But closure's illusion shattered on a crisp October morn, autumn leaves carpeting the sidewalks like confetti from battles won. Jonathan's phone buzzed during a studio session. Unknown caller. Vic's number. Curiosity compelled answer. "Reyes? This about Hayes." "Tell him." "Truce." "But off record? He's poison. That article tanked half my bids." "Watch your back." The threat lingered, oily, but Jonathan dismissed it, until Nathan's truck was keyed that night. Slurs carved deep, fags out. Police report filed, but no leads. The city shrugged, another hate crime in the stats. Nathan's rage was volcanic, pacing the kitchen like a panther. "Bastards think they can scare us off?" Jonathan blocked his path, hands on shoulders. "They already lost. We're here, home, whole, Yet fear's tendrils crept. Nathan installing cameras. Jonathan double-checking locks. Sleepless nights bred whispers. What if we leave? Suburbs. Quieter life. No, Jonathan countered, fierce in the dark. We claimed this ground. Hold it. The turning point came unbidden. A betrayal's boomerang. Vic's firm folded under pressure. Lawsuits from jilted workers. Sponsors fleeing rainbow backlash. Desperate, he emailed Nathan, need your skills. One job. Name your price. Past. Nathan stared at the screen, Jonathan peering over. Trap or redemption? Nathan's reply was surgical. Price. Public apology. On your site, your letterhead. Acknowledge the bigotry. Donate to queer youth shelter. Vic caved. The statement live by week's end. I was wrong. Love's no threat to work. Hayes is the best damn carpenter I know. It went viral in niche circles. Nathan's phone lighting with congrats. From Emily, hero. Dr. Patel, textbook boundaries. Even Mr. Hayes knew you had stones. The victory unburdened them, allowing breaths for dreams deferred. Nathan enrolled in night classes at Pratt, Sustainable Design, blending craft with eco-innovation. Jonathan's graphic novel sequel brewed, arcs of queer kinships weaving through immigrant tales. Their wedding plans coalesced. A spring affair in Prospect Park, under dogwoods, officiated by a rabbi-therapist duo for interfaith flair. Winter whispered in with first snows, the brownstone a cocoon of warmth, fireplace crackling, mulled wine steaming. One eve, as flurries danced past panes, Nathan knelt by the tree they'd strung with ornaments from both coasts. A Reyes Milagro, a Hayes fishing lure. Remember the rooftop? He murmured, slipping a locket into Jonathan's palm. Photo inside of their first kiss, rain-blurred but eternal. Jonathan's eyes misted. How could I forget? Lightning and us. Lightning still strikes. Nathan's kiss was gentle, profound. Stronger every time. Spring erupted in verdant fury. Wedding day dawning luminous. The park bloomed riotous. Tulips nodding approval. Guests in seersucker and saris mingling under a chuppah draped in pride flags. Emily walked Nathan down the aisle, her arm looped in his, tears carving paths through mascara. Mrs. Hayes sat front row, clutching Mr. Hayes's hand, his presence a miracle, suit starched, eyes dry but shining. Jonathan's mom beamed from beside her, bilingual vows bridging worlds. They exchanged rings, Nathan's steady hand trembling as he slid silver over knuckle. I vow to defy with you, build with you, love you through every odd. Jonathan's response choked. And I vow to dream with you, hold you, choose you always. The kiss sealed it, cheers erupting like fireworks, the city skyline a silent witness. Reception spilled into laughter and lamb, speeches roasting Nathan's carpentry puns, toasts lauding Jonathan's heart. Mr. Hayes rose last, voice gravel but steady. Son. Jonathan. I was blind. Wrong. But seeing you now. Family ain't blood. It's this. He gestured wide, encompassing all. Applause thundered, his hug later fierce, backslapping like comrades. As stars pricked the velvet night, Jonathan and Nathan slipped away to their stoop, barefoot in the cool grass. We did it, Jonathan whispered, head on Nathan's shoulder. Nathan's arm tightened, heartbeat sinking. Stronger than ever, and in that humanistic hush, the cities hum a lullaby, odds defied into oblivion. They knew love wasn't triumph over trials, but the quiet revolution of enduring them, woven into the fabric of lives reclaimed, unbreakable, eternally theirs.